I don't like to toot my own horn, but I have been quite busy with some yarn. I may have gone through like 2 trash bags today. I'm working on a 3rd. Look at that. Woo. Welcome back for Vlogmas day 7. It has been a little bit of a kind of crazy day. Spent the majority of the day over there with my mother-in-law, and she's doing well, but she just kind of had a hard morning cleaning up over there and doing all their laundry. And I haven't even touched yarn. Well, I've touched yarn, but I haven't touched yarn in the knitting or crochet aspect. But I have been working out here, and I got through with like 3 trash bags of yarn, going through and making sure it's listed. I pretty much have done, I think, all of my fingering. I just have this little bit in the chair in front of me that's left, and to go through the commercial fingering that is in the floor behind me. And then I finally get to start on the sport weight and DK weight, so that's exciting. My goal is to get another 3 to 4 bags done tomorrow, and then maybe get the fireplace out here tomorrow, and to finish sanding that bookcase, because it is supposed to be a warmer day. It's supposed to get like to 60 degrees and then rain's coming in. But I should have enough time to finish sanding that bookcase and hopefully put it together. And then Saturday, the husband is going to come out here and we're going to trim the windows, which is going to be wonderful because that is going to help insulate it even more. And then I can go get my honeycomb blinds trimmed to cut to fit the windows at Lowe's. I randomly threw up some lights on my bookcases. They're just kind of hanging up over the doors, but I feel like I needed some light behind me, and I do not have electricity yet. I'm hoping we can get that working at some point in the next couple of weeks, because as we get closer to Christmas and the New Year, it's going to get colder and colder, especially in January, and it's going to be really nice to actually have the fireplace to use opposed to the little heater that I steal from our bathroom, as well as the ability to actually use my lights and lamps, because I have some really cute lamps and I would like to utilize them. So I mentioned yesterday to psych myself up for casting on my gnome, which I will cast on today or tomorrow. I was going to show you my other gnomes that I had knit from Imagine Landscapes, because I just think she is a brilliant gnome designer. And I love her quirkiness and the quirkiness that she puts into the personalities of these little creatures. My first gnome I ever knit from her was all the way back in 2019. It was from her Gnome de Plum. It was a mystery knit along. I named mine Sir Padrick, and this is him. I absolutely love everything about him. I love how the colors worked out, and I love the cabling detail on his little hat. And I wanted my little hat to kind of fall over and have the leaf. But some people made their leaves stand up. But I just kind of like the quirkiness of having it kind of hang to the side. I love how she used the natural roll of stockinette stitch to make the brim of his hat. And her gnomes are made so there's really no sewing. Everything is kind of knit on. And I just think that makes them a lot more special. The yarns I used, Wonderland Yarns, and this was just like a random sport weight pack that I picked up. I don't even remember where I got it, but it's the Mad Hatter base, so I know it is sport weight. And I used the multicolor for his body and his sleeves. I used a natural for his nose and his little bitty hands. I used the green for his beard because it's a leaf, as well as the leaf on his hat, and this teal color for his hat. He does have a little flat bottom that's made by decreasing, and I actually put beans in mine so it sits very nicely on a shelf. But I just think he is one of the most adorable little things. I love him. The second gnome I knit with Imagine Landscapes was, I did the gnome of the year, or a year of gnomes, that's what it was called, last year or the year before, 2022. So that was last year. And this was the first one I did for January. I chose this one because it was fast and it was a lot going on in January. So it really fit what I needed out of my project at the time. This is some Desert Vista Dye Works. It's body, and these were scraps that were given to me. I love that it has pockets, and I made my pockets a little bit so they kind of stand out with a different color, but you can put your gnome's little fingers and hands in his pockets, and I just think that is probably the cutest thing ever. The hat is actually some scraps from Sweet Georgia Yarns Tough Love Sock, and it is in the colorway Orchid. Its little nose and its little hands are actually some more Wonderland yarns, and that is from this pack that I bought a while back, and I made a shawl, not a shawl, I made a scarf from it, and the design is AOPI Designs, and a really fun knit. There was always something going on, but I had some of that yarn left over, and using it for projects like this is perfect. This purple was actually, I think, just a stripe from the Desert Vista Dye Works, and I just kind of used that one stripe to make a scarf, and then I just used some of the yarns to make pom-poms. They all have the pink, but each one of them has a different kind of secondary color. But it's just one of my other favorite gnomes because he just looks like he is just not having the snow or the cold, and if we ever get snow in Alabama, it is typically in January. So I kind of also felt like that was a good fit for me. My next gnome that I knit for that knit along is this guy, and this is Nice to Gnome You. And the reason I chose it because that makes me think of Valentine's Day, or nice to have known you, to love you. And so I went with a red themed gnome for February for Valentine's. And I even put a cute little wood button that it's a heart on his little hat. But he is out of some Stone Hedge Fiberworks. It is their crazy yarn. And basically it's just the mill ends from their milling company spun up into these crazy amazing skeins. I have several of them. And projects like this are the best for them because you can kind of cut them and take them and get a cohesive project but still have uniqueness and colors. This one was very unique because it has this very Whoville kind of hat going on. It just reminded me so much of Dr. Seuss. It does have wire in it to make it really stay kind of its shape. And then all of these yarns were from that one skein of yarn that I just cut up. And he also has a pocket to put his hands so they do not get cold. I did put some rocks in this one because I didn't have any beans. You can fill the rocks. I guess I can double as a weapon if I'm out here. But I love how he turned out as well. And I don't know if you noticed, but each of her gnomes have a different kind of nose, which I think is a cute little personality touch that she always does. The next gnome I made was Gnome, pun intended. It's a tongue twister for me. And I chose another scrappy project. There's just something about using your scraps that is so rewarding to me, to see them turned into something absolutely adorable. And that's pretty much what happened here. This was for March, so I wanted mine to have that typical leprechaun kind of thing going on. So I did find this a cute little bucket in the dollhouse section of a craft store, and then I got some gold sequins and super glued it all in. And so he has a pot of gold that he is holding, but it turned out absolutely amazing. I love it. So for this one, I use Hedgehog fibers for his body and his hands. I think this was left over from a shawl. This orange was actually just some random scraps, and I think the beard was supposed to be a little bit different, but I just kind of knotted mine and let it hang down like he had some little braids going on. But I love how it looks on him. And then this hat is also another fun design that she came up with. She used a bunch of decreases, and I just love the look of it. It looks kind of like a scrunched on beanie, and the scrunchiness up here kind of gives it this fun and odd shape. This teal is actually from the fiber seed, and it's called Pine Grove. And it just goes perfect with this orange and hedgehog fibers. But that little bucket of gold just turned out absolutely amazing. And I'm so happy with how he turned. So after the March Leprechaun Gnome, I had to do something pretty special again. And I wanted to do something kind of themed to the month. So in my mind, I'm thinking spring. And it makes me think of new birth of all kind of animals, especially rabbits. And where we live, there's always baby bunnies being born in the fields, and then we always see rabbits everywhere. So this is Ronn, and she is the all work gnome play gnome, and she is also made out of hedgehog fibers for this body. This is the color Monarch. All of her little extra colors are leftover yarns from a Jawbreaker set from Knitted Wit. It was actually the yarn that came with the kit from, oh my goodness, who was that designer? I'll put it down below because I'm drawing a blank. But it was the yarn kit that was for my Nutcracker series. Susan Claudino, I think, was the designer. And I can't think who. Skein in the Big Wool. Wow, that was just going for a minute. But I used those colors because I thought they worked really, really well with the Monarch from Hedgehog Fibers. I love this detail where it has this vine that goes up around her hat. I was going to do it in the green color, but I kind of like the way that it looks with like the trunk or like a dead vine, but still giving birth to a new plant life on the end. And it seamlessly goes into her hat. I did do a couple little extra things for her. She does not come with the instructions to make the pouch. I kind of came up with that. When I saw the name of All Work Gnome Play, it made me think of this garden gnome who is constantly out in the fields, maybe tending the young rabbits. And that is what she does. I actually made a little story up for her on the project page, and I'll post that down below. So I gave her a mama carrying device. I was a mama that wore my babies in a sling when they were young. It's just this great bond, and there's just something magical about having them close and smelling fresh baby head. So I kind of imagine that she likes to smell fresh baby rabbits, and then she's carrying one in her arms. But these are actually from the dollhouse section, also from a craft store. But they worked out perfectly and were the perfect size for her. The last gnome I made was the month of May. And then I just kind of got busy and did not make any more. Although I did buy patterns some. But that is this gnome right here. This is the Make Gnome Mistake gnome. It is a colorwork gnome. It has this amazing colorwork mushroom hat that I am just in love with. It is so pretty. Then the bottom of the gnome itself has these little flowers that you do colorwork, and I put green on the bottom of mine. I kind of wish I carried it all the way so they kind of connected with the green flowers, but I still love it. I think it had a very neat bottom. I kind of messed up sewing mine together. I just kind of got in a rush, and I probably should not have. But I do love how this one turned out. It was a little fun gnome to make. I really love how I did the beard. I also did just random pieces of string, but some of them I actually split the yarn, and that's what gave me these curly cues. As per the pattern, I did use some beads, and the beads I chose actually are kind of carved, but to me they just kind of look like woodsy. I kind of think they fit the whole mushroom gnome aesthetic quite well, and I was super happy that I was able to find them because they look super cool with him. But I love that one. And that is all my gnomes that I made from Sarah's pattern. And Sarah is Imagine Landscapes. If you have not checked out her Ravelry store, I'm going to link it down below for you. I promise you, you're going to find gnomes that your heart is going to fall in love with and that you are desperately going to want to make. I do own a couple more of her patterns, and this whole mystery gnome knit along is one of her patterns, and it's not too late to join. So I will drop that link separately so you can have quick access to it in case you want to join along with. Unfortunately, it is getting pretty late here and I have to go cook dinner. I did get a good bit of yarn in the bookcases today and make sure that it was logged into Ravelry. I will be working out here all day tomorrow because I really need to get as much done as possible so we can install that trim. I hope you have a wonderful evening and I will see you tomorrow.